The first time Lyra asked me why humans cry, we were standing in the observation deck of the merchant vessel Stellar Compass, watching Earth disappear behind us. She'd just finished her shift in the engine room, still had grease on her three-fingered hands, and the bioluminescent patterns on her lavender skin were pulsing that soft blue color I'd learned meant she was curious. "Your eyes are leaking again," she said, not unkindly. Her species, the Zy'thani, didn't have tear ducts. They expressed emotion through skin patterns and pheromones, but never through water leaving their bodies. "Is it malfunction? Should I alert the medical bay?" I laughed, which made her head tilt in that way that meant I'd confused her again. We'd been crewmates for 6 months, ever since I'd signed on as a cargo specialist after Earth's economy tanked and jobs dried up. 6 months of her trying to understand humans, and me trying to explain things that seemed obvious to me but were completely alien to her. "No malfunction," I said, wiping my eyes. I'm going to miss home. But you said Earth had nothing left for you, no employment, no family bonds. You chose to leave." "I know. It's complicated." She made a sound like wind chimes, which was Zy'thani laughter. "Everything about humans is complicated. You contradict yourselves constantly. You feel sadness about leaving a place you were unhappy in. You cry when you're sad, but also when you're happy. You say one thing and mean another. How does your species accomplish anything when you're all so illogical?" I should have been offended, but Lyra had a way of asking questions that felt genuine rather than judgmental. Besides, she had a point. Humans were walking contradictions. We felt too much, thought too much, complicated everything. The galaxy had been dealing with humanity for only 20 years since first contact, and most species still couldn't figure us out. "We accomplish things because of the contradictions, not despite them," I said. "The same thing that makes me sad to leave Earth makes me excited to see what's out there. The same heart that breaks is the same one that loves. It's all connected." Her skin patterns shifted to amber, which meant she was thinking hard. "I don't understand." "Yeah," I said, looking back at the shrinking blue marble that was my home. "Most species don't." That was the first real conversation Lyra and I had. Before that, we'd been polite coworkers, passing tools and cargo manifests. After that, she started asking questions, lots of questions, about human emotions, human culture, human everything. And I started answering, which led to longer conversations, which led to shared meals, which led to me realizing that somewhere in the explaining and the asking, I'd started looking forward to her shifts, started timing my breaks to match hers, started learning to read the subtle shifts in her skin patterns like I was learning a new language. Which I was, I suppose. 3 months into what I was carefully not calling a friendship, we were in the cargo bay, reorganizing containers after a particularly rough jump through hyperspace had shifted everything. Lyra was stronger than she looked, most Zy'thani were, but I still insisted on handling the heavy containers. Human stubbornness, she called it. Human chivalry, I called it. Which required another explanation that took 2 hours and ended with her skin patterns, showing that peachy color that I'd started to recognize, meant she was amused by my species' weird customs. "You humans have so many rules about gender interaction," she observed, effortlessly moving a container that weighed at least 200 pounds. "Males must do heavy lifting for females. Females must be protected. Males must initiate romantic bonding. It seems inefficient." "It's not rules exactly," I said, trying to explain something I'd never really questioned. "It's just tradition, cultural norms, ways we show we care. But Zy'thani show care through pheromone exchange and skin patterns. Simple, efficient, clear communication of intent and emotion. Your species makes it so complicated. There you go again with the complicated thing. Because it's true," her patterns flared that bright amber again, "you don't just say what you feel. You hide it, dance around it, use these hints and signals that require the other person to interpret. Half of human communication isn't even verbal. How do you ever know what someone actually means? I stopped moving containers and looked at her, really looked at her. The way her skin caught the cargo bay lights. The way her large, dark eyes, so different from human eyes but somehow expressive in their own way, always focused intently when she was listening. The way she stood, slightly tilted forward like she was always ready to learn something new. Sometimes, I said carefully, we don't know. Sometimes we spend months trying to figure out what someone means, what they feel. Whether what we're feeling is mutual or just wishful thinking. Her patterns shifted to a color I'd never seen before, deep purple with silver highlights. That sounds painful. It is. Then why do humans do it? I picked up another container, buying time. Because when you finally figure it out, when you finally know, it means more. It meant something that we tried, that we took the risk, that we were brave enough to be uncertain. Zy'thani don't have uncertainty in bonding. We exchange pheromones. If compatible, we know. If not, we know. Simple. Sounds efficient. It is, she paused. It's also lonely. Sometimes I think humans are lucky. You get to wonder, to hope, to fear. To feel all those emotions we don't have words for because we never need them. That's when I realized Lyra wasn't just asking about humans in general. She was asking about this human, about me. And that deep purple with silver highlights, I was starting to suspect that was Zy'thani for something they didn't have a word for either. The next few months were a masterclass in confusion. For both of us, Lyra kept asking questions, but they got more personal. Not just why do humans cry, but why do you specifically smile more when you see me? And why does your heart rate increase when I stand close to you? And why do you keep giving me your food even? When you're hungry, her Zy'thani directness was both refreshing and terrifying. Humans spent years learning to hide what they felt, to play it cool, to not seem too eager or too interested. Lyra just asked, straight up, no filter. And I, despite years of human training in emotional avoidance, kept answering honestly. I smile more because I like seeing you. My heart rate increases because you make me nervous in a good way. I give you my food because making you happy makes me happy. Each answer made her. Patterns shift through colors I was learning to read. Confusion, interest, something that might have been the Zy'thani equivalent of flustered. She started spending more time near me. Started asking the captain to assign us to the same shifts. Started teaching me about her species, her culture, her world. Zy'thani bond for life, she told me one night in the observation deck. We'd started meeting there after shifts, watching stars blur past during FTL jumps. Once we choose forever. No divorce, no separation. We are biologically incapable of bonding with another once the connection is made. That's intense. Is it? Humans can bond, unbond, rebond with multiple partners throughout life. Isn't that more intense? All that uncertainty, all that pain. We don't see it as pain, we see it as hope, as possibility, as complicated, I laughed. Yeah. Complicated? She moved closer, close enough that I could see the patterns on her skin shifting in real time. I've been researching human bonding customs. Your dating, your romance. It's all very confusing, but I think I understand the basic concept. Humans spend time together to determine compatibility before permanent bonding. Yes, that's a clinical way to put it, but yes. I would like to do this with you if you're willing. My brain short-circuited, just completely stopped working. Because Lyra, in her beautifully direct Zy'thani way, had just asked me out. No hints, no games, no wondering if I was reading the signals right, just a clear, honest statement of interest. Yes. Yes, I'm willing, very willing, extremely willing. Her skin flashed bright gold, which I'd learned was joy. Good, I was concerned I had misread your signals. Human communication is still difficult for me. You're doing fine, better than fine, you're doing great. So we are dating now? This is correct terminology. Yes. We're dating. What do humans do when dating? I realized I had no idea how to date someone from a completely different species. Normally, we'd go to dinner, maybe see a movie, talk, and get to know each other better. We already eat meals together daily. The ship has limited entertainment options. And we've been talking for months. Haven't we already done human dating? She had a point. We'd basically been accidentally dating for months without realizing it. Or at least I'd been too scared to realize it, and she'd been too confused by human customs to know what it was. I think we have, I said, smiling. I think we've been dating this whole time. Excellent. Then we can skip to the more advanced stages of human bonding. Physical contact is involved, yes. Humans touch their bonding partners extensively. This is accurate. My face went hot. Lyra, we should probably... I've been reading about kissing. It seems unhygienic but culturally significant. Is this something you would want to do? Yes, very much yes, but maybe we should slow down and... Why slow down? We've already established mutual interest. We've been spending time together for months. We enjoy each other's company. We are compatible. What is the purpose of delay? It's just, humans usually take things slow. We build up to physical stuff. It's part of the romance. She made that wind chime sound again. More complications. I think I'm beginning to understand why humans tell so many stories about love. It's because you need instruction manuals for something that should be simple. I couldn't help it. I laughed, really laughed. And then, because she was right there, and because she'd been brave enough to ask, and because I was tired of human complications, I took her hand. Her three-fingered, lavender-skinned hand that had grease under the nails from engine work. She froze. Her skin patterns went completely still, which I'd never seen before. "Is this okay?" I asked. Yes, this is okay, more than okay. Humans have a saying, butterflies in the stomach. I think I understand now. You have butterflies. Zy'thani don't have that expression, but yes. I feel something in my primary digestion chamber. It's very strange, also pleasant. Is this correct? I squeezed her hand gently. That's correct. That's perfect. We stood there, holding hands, watching stars blur past. Two beings from completely different worlds trying to figure out something that neither of our species had really mastered. How to love someone who's fundamentally different from you in every way. The rest of the crew figured it out within a week. Hard to hide a relationship on a ship with only 15 people. The captain, a gruff Martian woman named Rodriguez, called me to her office. "You and Lyra," she said without preamble. "That's happening." "Yes, ma'am. You know the regulations about fraternization? There aren't any. You said so yourself when you hired me." "True. But this is different. Human and Zy'thani, it's not forbidden, but it's unprecedented, at least on my ship." "Is that a problem?" She leaned back in her chair. "Not for me. But it might be for others. Zy'thani don't do casual, you understand that. When she bonds for life. If this is just a fling for you, it's not." "You sure? Because you're young." 25, most humans aren't ready for life commitment at 25. "I'm sure." She studied me for a long moment. "All right, but Chen, don't fuck this up. Lyra's a good engineer. Best we've had. I don't want her heartbroken if you decide 6 months from now that you're not ready for alien commitment." "I won't. I'm not going to hurt her." "You better not." I left her office wondering if I'd just made a promise I could keep. Not because I didn't care about Lyra. I did more than I'd cared about anyone, but because Captain Rodriguez was right. I was young. I'd never been in a serious relationship. And now I was apparently in one with the most serious stakes possible, a partner who would bond with me for life. No pressure. Lyra, of course, had no such concerns. When I tried to talk to her about taking things slow, about being careful, about making sure we were ready, she just tilted her head and asked why humans always complicated things. "We're compatible," she said simply. "I've observed you for 9 months. You're kind, you're hardworking, you make me laugh, you explain things patiently, you share your food, you hold doors. You're gentle with the ship's cat even though it scratches you. Why would I need more time to know I want to bond with you? Because that's how humans do it." We need time to be sure. But you said you were sure. You told Captain Rodriguez you were sure. I am sure about how I feel right now, but humans change. We grow. We might become different people. Then we'll change together. She moved closer, her skin patterns shifting to that deep purple with silver. Isn't that what bonding means? Growing together. Changing together, being willing to become new versions of yourself with another person. When did you get so wise about human relationships? I've been reading your literature, Shakespeare. Austen, that poet you like, Rumi. They all say the same thing, just in complicated ways. Love isn't about being perfect. It's about choosing each other even when it's difficult, even when you change. Even when it's complicated. I pulled her clothes, which still felt new and thrilling. She was shorter than me, which meant she fit perfectly under my chin. Her skin was cool to the touch, and she smelled like engine oil and something floral I couldn't identify. Have I mentioned you're amazing? I asked. Twice today, I'm keeping count. Good. Because I'm going to keep saying it. Good, I enjoy hearing it. We stood there in the cargo bay, holding each other while the ship hummed around us. She was right, I realized. I'd been making it complicated because that's what humans did. We overthought. We worried. We scared ourselves out of things because we could imagine all the ways they might go wrong. But Lyra, with her Zy'thani directness, had cut through all that. She decided I was worth the risk. The question was I brave enough to decide she was too? Okay, I said. Okay, let's do this. No more worrying, no more taking it slow. Let's just be together. Her skin flashed that golden joy color. You're certain? I'm terrified. But I'm certain. Good, fear and certainty together, very human of you. Complicated, perfectly complicated. The next few months were the happiest of my life and the hardest. Because it turned out dating someone from a completely different species meant navigating constant misunderstandings. She didn't understand why I wanted to give her flowers. Plants were food to Zy'thani, and giving someone food was considered insulting because it implied they couldn't feed themselves. I didn't understand why she kept trying to groom me. Zy'thani bonded pairs cleaned each other's skin patterns, and she was deeply confused about why human hair didn't need constant maintenance. She wrote me poetry in Zy'thani. I couldn't read it, but she translated it, and it was beautiful, mathematical and precise and somehow romantic in its exactness. I tried to write her poetry in English. She found it confusing because metaphors didn't translate well, but she appreciated the effort. We taught each other about our cultures. She showed me Zy'thani music, which sounded like crystals singing. I showed her human music, everything from classical to rock to hip-hop. She couldn't dance to most of it. Zy'thani moved differently, but she loved watching humans dance. Said we moved like we were always fighting gravity. Because we are, I explained. Humans evolved on a high-gravity world. Everything about us is built around fighting to stand up, to move, to live. We're literally battling physics every second of our existence. That sounds exhausting. It is, but it made us strong, made us stubborn. Made us determined to do impossible things. Like fall in love with aliens? Exactly like that, 6 months into our relationship. The ship docked at a major trade station for repairs and resupply. We had 3 days of shore leave, most of the crew scattered to bars and casinos. Lyra wanted to visit the botanical gardens. She'd never seen earth plants in person. We spent hours walking through the gardens. She was fascinated by everything. Trees that grew so tall, flowers that came in so many colors, the smell of growing things. Zy'thani had plants, but their world was more desert than earth. The concept of a forest was almost mythological to her. Your planet is so abundant, she said, touching a rose carefully. So much life, so much water. No wonder humans are so emotional. You come from a world that feels everything. I never thought about it that way. Zy'thar, homeworld, is harsh. Beautiful but harsh. We had to become efficient to survive. Emotions are expensive. They use energy we didn't have, but Earth can afford emotions. Earth has enough for everyone to feel everything. I took her hand. Do you ever wish you were human? So you could feel things the way we do? Her patterns shifted through several colors before settling on a soft blue. Sometimes, when you describe emotions I don't have words for, I wonder what I'm missing. But then I think about how exhausting it must be to feel so much all the time. How do you stand it? We don't. That's why we cry. That's why we laugh. That's why we make art and music and write poetry. We have to let it out somehow or it would destroy us. Is that why you love me? Because you have to let it out. No, I love you because you make me want to feel more, not less. You make me want to explain things I took for granted. You make me see humanity from the outside, and somehow that makes me appreciate it more. You make me better. She was quiet for a long moment. Then in halting English, she said something she'd clearly been practicing. I love you too. My throat closed up. She'd been learning English since we started dating, but she rarely used it. Zy'thani vocal cords weren't built for human languages. It must have taken her hours of practice to get those 4 words right. Say it again, I whispered. I love you too. Again, I love you too. I kissed her then, right there in the botanical gardens. She still didn't really understand kissing. The biology didn't work the same for Zy'thani. But she did it anyway because she knew it mattered to me. Because that's what love was. Doing things that made no sense to you because they made sense to someone else. When we pulled apart, her skin was cycling through colors so fast I couldn't track them. What's wrong? I asked. Nothing's wrong, everything's right. I think I'm feeling too much. Is this what it's like for you all the time? Pretty much. It's wonderful, it's terrible. It's both. Welcome to being human. I'm not human. No, but you're loving one, that's close enough. That night back on the ship, she asked me again why humans cry. Because we feel too much, I said. Because the emotions get so big they have to come out somehow. Because sometimes the body needs to physically expel what the heart can't hold. Show me, she said. Show you what? Cry for me, I want to understand. I laughed. I can't just cry on command. Then let me try something. She moved closer, her skin patterns shifting to that deep purple with silver. Close your eyes. I did. She placed her hands on my face, her 3 fingers gently touching my temples. Zy'thani can't cry, she said softly. But we can share emotions through touch, through pheromones, through patterns. I want to show you what I feel when I think about you. Heat bloomed where she touched me, not physical heat, but something else. Something I didn't have words for. Emotions that weren't mine but felt like mine. Affection, wonder, fear, hope, joy, all of it tangled together in a way that made perfect sense and no sense at all. Is this what you feel? I asked, my voice breaking. All the time when I see you, when you smile, when you explain human things, when you're patient with my questions, when you hold me. All of it all at once, always. The emotions were too big, too much, too overwhelming, and my body did what human bodies do when the heart gets too full. I cried. Tears slipped down my cheeks while she held my face, and I finally understood what I'd been trying to explain for months. Crying wasn't weakness, it was survival. It was how humans handled emotions too big for our bodies to contain. It was how we let the overflow escape so we didn't drown in our own feelings. When I opened my eyes, she was staring at the tears with fascination. Beautiful, she whispered. You're beautiful when you cry. That's a very un-Zy'thani thing to say. I'm learning to be very un-Zy'thani. You're a terrible influence. Good, you were too efficient anyway. A little human complication will do you good. She laughed that wind chime laugh. Then carefully she touched the tears on my cheek and brought her finger to her mouth, tasting them. Salt, she said, your tears are salty. Is that weird? Everything about humans is weird, but yes, this is especially weird. You literally leak salt water when you feel too much. Told you we were complicated. You did, she curled against me. I still don't fully understand crying. But I think I'm starting to understand why you do it. And I think I'm starting to do it too in my own way. What's the Zy'thani version of crying? She was quiet for a moment. Then her skin patterns shifted to a color I'd never seen before. Opalescent, shimmering, beautiful and strange and heartbreaking and perfect. This, she said, when emotions get too big, we glow. We shine, we become living light. That's our overflow. That's how we cry. I pulled her closer, this glowing girl from another world who decided I was worth the confusion of learning to love a human. You're beautiful when you glow. That's a very human thing to say. You're a terrible influence, she glowed brighter. Which I was learning to recognize as Zy'thani, for laughter mixed with joy, mixed with love, mixed with everything she didn't have words for. We stayed like that for hours, her glowing, me crying. Two beings from different worlds learning to speak each other's emotional languages, learning that love wasn't about understanding everything. It was about choosing to stay even when things were confusing. 1 year after we started dating, she asked me to bond with her, officially, in the Zy'thani way. It involved a ceremony I didn't fully understand, biology I had to get cleared by 3 different doctors, and a commitment that scared me even as I said yes. Because Zy'thani bonding wasn't like human marriage. It was biological, permanent, irreversible. Once we bonded, she would be biologically incapable of bonding with anyone else, ever. And while humans could technically bond with multiple partners throughout life, I'd promised her I wouldn't. Promised that this human would be as permanent as she was. Captain Rodriguez pulled me aside again. You know what you're doing. No, but I'm doing it anyway. That's either very brave or very stupid. With humans, it's usually both, she smiled. Good answer. For what it's worth, I think you two are good for each other. She's less rigid, you're less anxious. Love suits you both. Thanks, Captain. Don't thank me yet. Thank me when you're 50 years in and still making it work. The bonding ceremony was beautiful and strange, held on the ship with the crew as witnesses. Part of it I understood, the vows, the promises, the commitment. Part of it was pure Zy'thani. Biological processes I couldn't see but could feel, pheromones and skin patterns creating connections I didn't have words for. When it was done, Lyra's skin was glowing that opalescent color and I was crying. Of course I was crying. Happy tears this time, overwhelming tears, too much feeling tears. Husband, she said in English, clearly having practiced. My husband. Wife, I said back, my wife. We're bonded now, forever, you understand. I understand. No changing your mind. No human divorce, forever. Forever, she glowed brighter. Good, I was worried you'd reconsider. Not a chance, you're stuck with me. Good. You're stuck with me too. We held each other while the crew cheered, and the stars blurred past outside the observation deck windows. Two beings from different worlds, permanently committed to figuring out how to be one unit despite being fundamentally different in every way. That was 5 years ago. We're still on the stellar compass, still working cargo and engines, still figuring out how to love each other across the gap between human and Zy'thani. It's not always easy. We still have misunderstandings. She still doesn't get why I want to celebrate our anniversary. Zy'thani don't mark time that way. I still don't fully understand her pheromone communications. Humans can't smell most of them. She still thinks flowers are weird. I still think her grooming attempts are more annoying than affectionate. But we make it work. Because that's what love is across species or within them. It's choosing to stay when things are hard. It's learning new languages, it's crying and glowing and laughing and being confused and trying anyway. She still asks questions about humans, why we cry, why we laugh, why we love the way we do. And I still try to explain, even though I often don't understand it myself. Because the asking and the explaining, that's part of our love language. That's how we connect. Last night she asked a new question. Why do humans say, I love you so often? Zy'thani say it once at bonding and never need to say it again, but you say it every day, multiple times. Why? I thought about it. Because humans forget. We get busy or distracted or take things for granted, so we say it to remind ourselves, to remind each other. That even when things are normal or boring or hard, the love is still there. Do you forget that I love you? Sometimes, not really forget, but it fades into the background. Life gets loud. So yeah, I need the reminder. She moved closer, her patterns shifting through colors I'd learned to read like words. I love you. I love you too. I'll try to remember to say it more often. Even though it's not the Zy'thani way, because it's your way, and I'm bonded to a human, so I should learn human customs. You don't have to. I want to. You learn to read my patterns. You learn to appreciate my glowing. You learned my language. I can learn this. So now she says it every day, multiple times. I love you in her accented English, the words still awkward on her Zy'thani vocal cords. And every time I say it back. And every time it feels like the first time. Because that's the thing about humans. We need the repetition. We need the reassurance. We need to hear it and say it and feel it over and over because our emotions are so big and so complicated that we need constant reminders that we're not alone in them. And Lyra, my glowing, efficient, logical Zy'thani wife, has learned to give me that, has learned to be human adjacent, has learned that love isn't just about the big gestures or the permanent commitments. It's about the daily reminders, the small words, the repeated reassurances. Sometimes, when we're alone in the observation deck watching stars blur past, she asks me about Earth, about the planet I left behind, about whether I regret leaving my homeworld for a life on a ship with an alien wife. Never, I tell her every time. I found something better than home. I found you. That's very romantic. Is that a very human thing? Yes, but I like it anyway. She glows that opalescent color, and I cry those happy, sad, overwhelming tears. And we hold each other while the universe spins around us. Two beings from different worlds, speaking different languages, expressing love in different ways, but somehow making it work. Because that's what love is. Human love, Zy'thani love, any love. It's not about being the same. It's not about understanding everything. It's about choosing each other anyway. It's about learning new languages and new ways of feeling and new ways of showing you care. It's about crying and glowing and being complicated and simple and contradictory and consistent all at once. It's about looking at someone completely different from you and saying, yes, you, forever, and meaning it. And when she asks why humans cry, I finally have a complete answer. We cry because we feel too much. Because the universe is too big and too beautiful and too overwhelming. Because we find love in impossible places with impossible people. Because sometimes the heart is so full the only way to express it is through salt water leaking from our eyes. We cry because we're human. And being human means feeling everything all the time until it spills over. And that's not a weakness. That's our superpower. That's what makes us human. That's what let me fall in love with an alien girl who glows when she's happy. And I wouldn't trade it for anything.